Email them at feedingourfriends05@gmail.com. Feedingourfriends05@gmail.com. It's the 15th anniversary of Feeding Our Friends on the Outside, Sunday, November 10th from noon until 11129 South Central Avenue in Los Angeles. For more information, call 310-981-6377. 310-981-6377. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Zoe Williams, the voice of reason. If your relationship is in trouble, I'm the dude to call. Has your soulmate become your cellmate? Does black love still exist? What are your bedroom turnoffs? Fantasies and fetishes. Financial infidelity. I'm dating a fat person. Are they worth the wait? Trust me, this gonna be crazy.
How about the heavy stuff?
The child wasn't his, and he still had to pay child support.
It's a very heated topic.
How was that right?
Mama's baby, daddy's maybe.
I just have so many questions I want to ask you.
I just like to kiss. Is there something wrong with that?
Damn.
He told me he had a vasectomy. I'm pregnant.
Betrayal has been committed.
Hit you with the bad pipes routine.
How does he maintain his humposity?
He likes it when it pinches my neck.
Why can't you open up, brother?
I'm a karate man. Karate man rules on the inside. They don't show their weaknesses.
Yeah.
How do you write women so well?
Zoe Williams,
Reason and accountability.
the voice of reason.
Feelings are never right or wrong. They just are. And I think I've discussed this before and talked to you about this. But what happens when you're in a relationship where someone invalidates your feelings? You know, it's important that when we're with someone who respects us and that we love, they listen to us and they try to hear us out when we're talking about our feelings. When somebody invalidates them, they try to talk you out of them, they try to ignore them, or they try to somehow shame you. That makes you feel bad for feeling the way you do. I'm going to go through a list of what it looks like when someone doesn't validate your feelings. I'm going to start with couples because I think that's so important. Your significant other is a one person who you should be able to count on, who will validate or at least listen to how you feel. Doesn't always mean they're going to agree, but they'll at least listen to you. The first one is you never get to make any decisions. If you're in a relationship that all the decisions are made for you, that's a sign that your partner is invalidating what you feel or what you talk about feeling with them. Secondly, they straight up reject your emotions. When you get emotional or you have feelings that are intense, they basically will withdraw or they'll just say, that's stupid. They tell you what they think you really feel. And I think that's the most manipulative in many ways, because sometimes someone, your significant other, has their feelings front and center and they want you to believe their feelings. And so if they try to tell you what you're feeling, that's a very important sign and you want to be aware of it in the future. Or they tell you how you should feel. I think those two kind of go together, but both of them are significant and to be aware of. They ignore you. When you talk about your feelings or anything, they simply tune out. They don't listen. And it's very lonely, and it's a very lonely feeling, and it makes you feel worthless when your partner does that. They make you feel like your feelings are a fault, or a weakness, or something that's wrong with you. And it's quite the opposite. Our feelings are what make us human. They're really what makes us strong. Or they're dismissive. They'll try and take up for the other person to say, I think you misread that. I don't think that's what it was at all. That's someone who is not valuing your feelings. Someone who is basically making you feel bad about the way you feel. If you're with someone...
I need balance in her statement. That's potentially someone. It's not always that way. There has to be balance. There has to be further discussion. Right? Because if you also factor in, yes, feelings are important, but oftentimes feelings don't equate to facts. And if clarity needs to be pursued, don't look at the pursuit of clarity and the subsequent questions as an attack. right? And of course, those questions have to be presented respectfully. But many people just respect my feelings. They'll take what she said and take it somewhere else, and it'll just be, these are my feelings. Yes, your feelings have a space here. It's a safe space. However, if I'm confused, I should be able to question without feeling like I'm attacking you because I'm confused and I need clarity. Do you understand? It goes both ways. This is very good. This is very good. We got callers on the line. I want to get them in here right now. Uh-oh. Attila, Houston, Texas. What are your thoughts on tonight's topic?
I was not expecting to be first. All right.
I'm gonna get out. I'm gonna get out your way. I mean, I don't have
a whole lot to say.
You got the floor. Go ahead.
Well, I wanted to reflect on Jack's comment because he made a really good comment in the chat, and he was saying to change is a silent way of admitting guilt. Some feel it's not worth to feel that way.
Whoa.
And
to change?
Is a silent way of admitting guilt. Some feel it's not worth to feel that way. And I could see why he would say that, because if you have been raised in a household where basically being vulnerable and saying, yeah, I did this wrong, got thrown back in your face, it makes sense why you would say that, right? Or feel that way. Like, I get that. Or even a relationship. But I think if you've been conditioned to, I don't know who that was in the videos that said that, but if you've been conditioned to feel that your feelings or your emotions are bad, then yeah, you're going to reflect in that way. But I would also say that it's not that they feel it's not worth to feel that way or to feel guilt. It's not about whether it's worth it. I think it's about whether or not it's safe. And because it hasn't been safe, you don't want to do it, which is why you would rather deflect versus accepting accountability.
Good stuff.
So there's that. And then the stuff I didn't agree with. And again, I think most of what you said, I get it. The only thing was about doing others' work. And I think I'm trying to remember what you said about how when you grow in consciousness, you're able to take on more. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Take on more.
I do agree.
Wait, hold on. Take on more doesn't mean do others' work.
Okay, so can you break that down for me then?
Yeah, take on more does not mean do others' work. The concept was about emotional labor. And what happens is people get exhausted relatively quickly when you're dealing with the difficulties of another. And I don't see that as taking on their work. It's almost like, oh my God, we're still going through this. We're still dealing with this. You're still asking about this. So that gets translated as emotional labor. Having to go through, having to consider, having to, listen and be empathetic. Because, a lot of people, they get, what is the term for empathy when they get tired of being empathetic? They burn out. It's like a burnout. And I'm saying the reason why that is, the reason why you lack a capacity to feel for another is because that's a muscle, a spiritual muscle that hasn't been worked out. See, it's easy to feel good when times are good. But when times are difficult, that's when you see the physical fitness of the spiritual muscle. Many people are not working out them muscles. I was going to say that's just a reflection of themselves. Yeah, so
they don't give themselves that grace. I can't give you what I don't give myself.
Exactly.
So why I'm not going to be able to extend grace to someone, especially if I don't have any empathy for them.
Right.
But also if I feel slighted by them in some type of way, and that is my focus, and not actually resolving the issue.
Come on.
So to me, that sounds more like a matter of perception. And I'm saying this as somebody who does it. Okay, I have done it. I have observed myself in situations where I closed my heart to that person simply because I was offended or hurt or, like I said, I felt slighted. Now, granted, I'm not saying let people dog you out, but I do think that if someone is like making a genuine effort to actually try with you, that you should open up and do it. Or you can. I'll say this. You have a right to do whatever you want to do. I'm trying to get out of the whole shit thing. You have a right to do what you want to do, but I think that we forfeit our own lesson by trying to close a chapter on someone because it's uncomfortable. So that's it.
Ooh, I love it. I love it. Heat Rocks from Houston, Texas. Attila, guess what you just did?
I brought H-Town in the building.
H-Town is in the building. If you want to bring your city in the building, all you got to do is call me at 1-800-920-1580. Again, I'm not saying you should do someone else's work. What I'm saying is our patience with the struggles of others, with the humanity of others, is at an all-time low within intimate relationships, right? And as Attila so eloquently pointed out, if your human partner hurt you, your resources are going to be even lower. I know people don't want to hear it that way. This is why I refer to the consciousness grid that was put together by Dr. David R. Hawkins. Now, I told you there's a book called Power versus Force. The great Quincy Jones, rest in peace. He was the first one to tell me about this book. Once I bought the book, I went down the rabbit hole. He got about 30 different titles. I got them all, read them all. One book that stands out in all of, I mean, they're all great, I promise you. But I encourage you to go get this book. Get your pens and pencils out right now. This is a slapper of a book if you want a higher conscious perspective of how to intimately relate with self and with others. Here's the book. Transcending the Levels of Consciousness, The Stairway to Enlightenment by Dr. David R. Hawking, MD, PhD. The book is available at www.veritaspub.com. Of course, veritas is the Greek and Latin term for truth. Veritaspub.com. Go there right now. Now, this is how he breaks it down. The third dimension, the lower levels of consciousness. You had parents who were totally unaware of this, and this is why there was inconsistent attunement in your household. This is why you grew up not feeling the feels completely. This is why you grew up addicted to feel good more than feel bad. As a spiritual being, you're supposed to be able to feel good in bad situations, but you were never taught that. You were taught to run away from bad and run towards good. Now, third dimension, I broke down that. The lower levels of consciousness, right? It starts with shame. Somebody said, oh, Zoe, we should bring shame back. Shame is the lowest level of consciousness according to this grid. Now, let me just break the grid down real quick before I even go even into the levels. The conceptual framework of this consciousness grid was first developed by Dr. David R. Hawkins, MD, PhD. After many decades of research, it looks at various psychological and mental states as they clearly correspond to the different levels of consciousness from 20, the numerical value of shame, at the bottom, 20, to the very top, which is 1,000, which is the 12th dimension, absolute self, full consciousness. Now, this isn't a new concept. You have Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. At the bottom are the very basic needs, and at the top is self-realization, right? This isn't all that new, but he based his research off of kinesiology. When you're in the presence of truth, the body gets stronger. When you're in the presence of falsehood, the body gets weaker. This approach, according to Dr. David R. Hawkins, is very new, yet is still in line with the wisdom of the ancient traditions, where higher levels of consciousness correspond to greater psychological integration and harmony within life. This conceptual approach, right, delineates how one moves from the lower self or small I, lower states of consciousness, to the higher self or the absolute I. Through this journey, various conditioning I know y'all not ready for this. Are y'all ready for this? And he uses the term vasanas. This is the Sanskrit word. It's the term for conditioning. And samsakras, these are Hindu terms for conditioning, along with different impurities start to dissolve as you evolve. Whatever maladaptive attachment style, whatever insecure feelings you have about yourself, low self-esteem, low self-worth, all of this stuff starts to dissolve as you evolve. But relationship is the key to that evolution. You got to get in one in order to see where you are on this chart. You got shame in your spirit, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger, pride, running rampant, the map of consciousness. This is why he created it. Through this journey, through this journey, various conditionings, vasanas and samsakras, along with different impurities, start to dissolve. This process of dismantling and purification allows for a greater expression of one's true nature at the level of the person. However, this model itself is an expression of the relative and therefore should not be taken as an expression of the absolute truth. So he's saying this is a model. The model is not a map. Or the model or the map is not the territory, as Alfred Korzybski would say. But at the bottom of this consciousness grid, villain, victim, abuser, abused, consciousness. That's the lower level of consciousness. When you get past 200, you get to self-empowerment. When you get to 250, you get to neutrality. This is why I said you can't give attunement until you become attunement. You can't become attunement until you recognize that you were raised in an environment that lacked attunement. So many people are self-unaware. They don't see, wow, this is how I showed up. I showed up at my lowest level. No wonder this didn't work. Do you understand? So, above neutrality, you get to willingness. Above willingness, acceptance. Above acceptance, inner light. Above inner light, inner wisdom. Above inner wisdom, inner love. Above inner love, oneness, self-realization. Now we're at a higher level. So many people want to relate at the absolute lowest level, the lower ego self, from 20 to 199 on his grid. He labeled that as hell. So many people are relating in hell. But what does the good book say about hell? Hell is a hospital for the soul. That's where your soul is supposed to get better, by going through the fire, as Shaka Khan explained. I know y'all not ready for this. But out of hell, you get into purgatory, limbo, that Dante's Inferno spoke of. And that's 200 to 299. But in between that, you start rising. The rational, linear, emotional self. You start to go higher and higher. Then you get to a higher self. Do you understand? This is what Abraham Maslow talked about with his hierarchy of needs. So many of us are so desperate and so broken. We are looking for the external answer to who we are as a being, not knowing that answer is inherently within us. When I come forward, I'm going to go back to the phone lines to see what y'all thinking about. Because guess what? If you can't feel you won't feel them.
But I believe that we've only just begun. When it's this good, there's no saying no. I want you so I'm ready to go. Through the fire, to the limit, to the wall. For a chance to be with you, I gladly risk it all. Through the fire, through whatever
fear, our feelings won't disappear. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580. Are you an entrepreneur looking to take your business to new heights? KBLA Talk 1580 is your partner in success. Every day, we celebrate and elevate Black-owned businesses across our community. Our KBLA SMB Marketplace currently features The Cookie Dip, Badass Bakes, Hair Concoction, Higher Education Accreditation Consulting, LACC Radiology Technology Department, and Malik Books. Your business deserves to be heard. Let KBLA Talk 1580 amplify your voice and connect you with our powerful community of listeners. Email smb@kbla1580.com today. That's smb@kbla1580.com. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black. If we're the ones disproportionately impacted by these climate catastrophes,
Why should we be silent?
turning up the volume all year long on the climate conversation for KBLA Talk 1580.
Watch out! You got me!
The galaxy is safe once again.
In the pretend universe, kids play with pretend guns. In the real world, it's up to us to make sure they don't get their hands on a real gun. If you have a gun in the house, keep it locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Moments like my daughter telling me a new joke mean a lot to me. But after being diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, or MBC, which is breast cancer that is spread to other parts of the body, they mean even more. I take Ibrance, palbociclib.
Ibrance 125 milligram tablets with an aromatase inhibitor is for adults with HR-positive, HER2-negative NBC as the first hormonal-based therapy. Ask your doctor about Ibrance and visit Ibrance.com. Ibrance may cause low white blood cell counts that may lead to serious infections. Ibrance may cause severe inflammation of the lungs. Both of these can lead to death. Tell your doctor right away if you have new or worsening symptoms, including trouble breathing, shortness of breath, cough, or chest pain. Before taking Ibrance, tell your doctor if you have fever, chills, or other signs of infection, liver or kidney problems, are or plan to become pregnant, or are breastfeeding. Common side effects include low red blood cell and low platelet counts, infections, tiredness, nausea, sore mouth, abnormalities in liver blood tests, diarrhea, hair thinning or loss, vomiting, rash, and loss of appetite.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio that's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. You know you want some more. It's the Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580.
Last night I saw you standing, and I started pretending I knew you, and you knew me too. And just like a romance, you were too shy, but you weren't the only, 'cause so was I. And I dreamed of you ever since. Now I build up my confidence that next time you come my way, I know just what to say. Can we talk for a minute? Girl, I want to know your name. Can we talk for a minute?
So let's return to the infant. There's the baby in the crib. It's mostly interocepting. As caregivers bring it what it needs, you hope, milk, diaper changes, etc., a warm blanket if it's cold, pull off the blanket when the baby's fussing and it's too warm, because babies get too warm also. It starts to exterocept. Excuse me, I misspoke. I want to be very clear. It starts to exterocept. The baby starts to look into the outside world and start making predictions. It starts wondering how much it needs to cry, or predicting, well, if I cry like a little bit, then mom comes over and I get my milk. Or if I cry a lot, mom doesn't come over and give me milk, so I need to really scream at the top of my head. Okay, so babies are starting to evaluate and do all this, but they're not doing it consciously. They're doing this strategically in order to relieve anxiety. And I won't propose that that's what we do into adulthood, but a lot of what we do in adulthood is when we feel something, we start exterocepting. Some people are much better at just sitting as a container and just interocepting and paying attention to what they're feeling internally. But most people do a little bit of a balance of both. We don't feel good, so we look for an item of food that...
Okay, exterocept. It's a fancy word for manipulation. The baby learns how to manipulate the parent to come over there and soothe. It's fine. As adults, it's manipulation. It's dry begging. It's all the little tricks we use to pull our partner in. Let's just be honest. Again, emotional labor contributes to resentment and burnout, especially when one partner feels responsible for sustaining the relationship's emotional health. But let me say this. Please understand, where there is emotional burnout, right, there is a lack of spiritual development. This is where psychology falls short. There's a lack of spiritual development. Where there is more spiritual development. Because remember, most people are just gaping wounds begging to be fed. That's most people. Feed my wound, please. Spiritual traditions also provide valuable insights into emotional attunement. Buddhist mindfulness practice, as discussed by, Thich Nhat Hanh, encourage individuals to cultivate deep listening and presence, allowing them to better perceive and respond to their partner's needs. Taoist principles of Wu Wei, effortless action, advocate for a relaxed, accepting approach to relationships where each partner embraces the present without trying to control the other. Listen, if you haven't healed, these concepts are high. They're too high. What? I just accept it and I get cool and I get peaceful. I get in the mindfulness state. Mindfulness is a funny word. It means empty mind. Do you see? No, not with all that anxiety, not with all that fear. Oh my goodness. We getting it in. When we come forward, I promise you, I'm going back to the phone lines. Let's get it.
He's on fire tonight. It's the Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams, exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with 4 things you should know from BIN News. It's unclear how President-elect Trump's win will affect his New York City hush money case sentencing. Judge Juan Merchant has days to decide if Trump will face consequences for payments to Stormy Daniels. Trump argues presidential immunity should void the verdict since evidence from his time in office was not included. The Federal Reserve is lowering interest rates by 0.25 percentage point. This follows a 50 basis points reduction earlier this fall, the first lowering of rates in 4 years. Authorities are investigating racist text messages sent to Black Americans nationwide. The messages signed a Trump supporter contain offensive language about picking cotton. Ohio State University reports that many of its Black students have received the message, and the Columbus NAACP is calling it a hate crime. And Gayle King is responding to Megan Thee Stallion's admission about lying regarding her intimate relationship with Tory Lanez, saying there's no controversy and she's cheering her on. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 at BINnews.com.
Start your future at a California community college. Financial aid is available to help with tuition, books, and sometimes even the rent. It's time to take the next big step. Classes can fill up quickly, so enroll today at icangotocollege.com.
Feeding Our Friends on the Outside will be hosting its 15th annual Feeding the Homeless event in Greater Los Angeles on Sunday, November 10th from noon until at 11129 South Central Avenue in Los Angeles. If you would like to donate or volunteer, please call 310-981-6377 or email them at feedingourfriends05@gmail.com. feedingourfriends05@gmail.com. It's the 15th anniversary of Feeding Our Friends on the Outside, Sunday, November 10th from noon until 11129 South Central Avenue in Los Angeles. For more information, call 310-981-6377. 310-981-6377. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Tips to help improve basic steps for building a budget in 2024. Building a budget can help you achieve and reach your financial goals. With a budget, you can keep track of your spending, avoid and get out of debt, limit overspending, pay bills on time, and build solid savings habits. What's the best way to get started? Figure out how much to set aside for expenses, like rent, mortgage, bills, groceries, and entertainment. Understanding your past financial habits can help you make the proper adjustments for your budget. Adjusting to a budget can take time as you work to find the right balance, but keep working on it. For more financial health tips, visit chase.com or stop by a local branch. This segment is sponsored by J.P. Morgan Chase & Company.
That morning chill means truck season!
5 more minutes.
No snoozing. Do it all in a Chevy Colorado or Silverado, including the class-leading range of the Silverado EV.
Talking to me?
Work, play, hauling, off-roading, a Chevy truck can take it all.
Okay, I'm up.
It's Chevy Truck Season. Get 0% financing on all 2024 Silverado 1500 pickups when you finance with GM Financial. Chevrolet, together, let's drive.
0% APR for 36 months. Monthly payment is $27.78 for every $1,000 you finance. Example down payment 9.3%. Must finance with GM Financial. Some customers may not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 10/31/24.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about. KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Los Angeles Regional Food Bank is on a mission to fight hunger and provide nutritious food to those in need across our community. They partner with federal, state, and local programs advocating for better policies and funding for critical hunger relief programs like Cal Fresh, the Emergency Food Assistance Program, and the Child and Adult Care Food Program. The food bank works with coalitions and local representatives to make sure hunger is addressed in every district of LA County. They also run nutrition education campaigns, raise hunger awareness, and source nutritious food for distribution, all while supporting regulations that allow food pantries to operate safely. Want to help? Visit lafoodbank.org or call 323-234-3030 to volunteer or find a food bank near you. Together, we can ensure that no one goes hungry in Los Angeles County. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
So what kind of world are we creating? It's worth asking yourself this question. And it's not a question. It's more the question is, what kind of world am I creating? What am I adding to? Am I adding to this deep, unconditional love for self and other that is so healing? Or am I adding to polarization and aggression and even violence? It's really worth asking ourselves this. And then the approach here is so tender and forgiving that if I find myself about to go off on somebody, or right in the middle of it, I say, "Ooh, I am screaming here." Or I just lost it completely and I'm already slammed the door and I'm standing out in the hall. I mean, wherever you are in the chain reaction of reactivity, you can pause and just ask yourself, look what I'm doing. And then instead of denigrating yourself, instead of me criticizing myself, instead of me shaming myself, instead of me wallowing in guilt for the next 17 years, at least, there's this very forgiving quality which is epitomized by the Shambhala meditation, which is just feel the rage. Feel the shame. Feel the guilt. Feel the remorse. Feel the resentment. Feel the heat.
Pema Chodron. Oh, I love her work, man. Part of gaining emotional attunement is feeling the uncomfortable feelings without judgment. We've been suppressing, we've been avoiding, evading, and distracting ourselves so that we don't feel. Feeling and expression of those feelings in a constructive way. If you weren't taught that, right? Part of your expectations for your significant other is for them to supplement your coping mechanism. You want a better relationship with your partner, you must cultivate a better relationship with yourself. You must accumulate the tools that are necessary. What are the tools, Zoe? Well, it's tough, but to be able to observe yourself without observation is a key tool. To be able to observe your wounds without judgment is key. Right? Many of us are tune deaf, right? Attunement, because we are self-blind and deaf. We must come into the true knowledge of who we are. Right? What's normal to us in intimate relationships is emotional disconnection. That's our safety. Right? What's normal to us in these non-attuned relationships, right? The inability to communicate our feelings. That's normal. Avoidance of vulnerability. That's normal. The insecure attachment styles are running the relationship asylum. That's normal. It's normal to do for other folk before we do for ourselves. It's normal to soothe other people before we soothe ourselves. Neglect of emotional needs. It's normal to have reactive emotional patterns, emotional dysregulation. Right? We weren't taught. We didn't model openness, transparency, and honesty when it comes to vulnerability. Right? We didn't model trusting and accepting the human in front of us that raised us. We didn't model emotional reciprocity. We didn't model encouraging empathy, facilitating individual growth. We didn't model that. We got callers on the line. I want to get them in here. Hustle. Miami, Florida. What are your thoughts on tonight's topic?
Well, I got some thoughts on this topic, brother. How you feeling?
I know you do, man. Come on in here. I'm good, man. What are your thoughts?
So I spent a few years living as a monk, as some would say. And just for the purpose of spiritual growth and getting closer with God. And I got to a place where I was in step experiencing that oneness that you spoke of earlier. And you begin to realize the levels of abundance that we have in life and within ourselves. I'll ask a question about work for others. And I understand why she would ask something like that. But when you think with the God mind, the level of patience and
come on, Hustle,
peace that is available to us.
Come on, Hustle.
It knows no limits, you see?
See, Hustle, you're right there. It's not I'm doing your work. It's I've increased my patience, my tolerance, and my acceptance. Not I'm accepting your bad behavior. Acceptance in the sense of that is you and your problem. And that's okay. I don't have to remain here. Right? Do you get what I'm saying? Most of us are reactive when we get to the end of our capacity to deal with something. And you've heard me say this for years. Tolerance is a silent time bomb for most people. I can only tolerate this for so long. That's most people. But when you raise in consciousness, you find that your reservoir of tolerance begins to broaden, begins to deepen. And it's not so much about you being irritated because they don't get it, because they're still hurt, because they're still reactive. You're not even bothered by that anymore.
Right. It's kind of like a marathon running, right? Mm-hmm. A mile is a light jog to them.
Come on, man. Mm-hmm. Come on, brother. Come on.
And, it's almost paradoxical because when you reach a certain place of oneness or just seeing things in a different way, it feels lonely, yet spiritually you're fulfilled because you're always present with God, or in other terms, present with self. Therefore, all these other things that are, I like to say, frustration, anxiety, that's your humanity talking to you. That's your check engine light.
Ooh, keep going. Keep going. You got an exam due, right? You got a test due in the morning. Come on. Come on.
That's it. The check engine light don't mean that you're about to run off the road. It means just look deeper. It means that it's trying to tell you something. And when you take a closer look,
because this is big right here. It's trying to tell you something. But the average consciousness level of today's relationships, you know what it's trying to tell them? Leave. Leave. Run. Get out of there. And we talking about basic conflicts that have been sustained in relationships. Leave. Get out of there. That is an indication that you're at the end of your resources, right? But watch this.
Go ahead.
The end of your known resources. There are more. You just have to go in to discover. Go ahead, brother.
Because you know why a lot of people don't want to look at the check engine light?
Why?
Because once you pop that hood, once you run them diagnostics, you realize the level of work you got to do. Ain't nobody trying to pay for that.
Stay with me, Hustle. When we come forward, we going back to Miami, Florida. We on fire tonight.
Is it good to you? More Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams when we come forward.
To the 100 million people who owe the IRS money, this message is for you. We've helped tens of thousands of people close the door on their tax debt. So if you feel like you're stuck in a hole with IRS tax debt, then this is the easiest way to get a resolution quickly. To qualify for a no-pay or low-pay resolution, just call 687-246-9655 to get free from the IRS once and for all.
To keep your bank accounts, income, and assets secure, tax closure is your same-day cure.
Add confidence to every holiday adventure and get it done with a rugged and capable Chevy truck or SUV. Find your red tag. Get 0% APR financing for 36 months on select popular Chevy models when you finance with GM Financial. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Offer available on all 2025 Equinox and 2024 Silverado, Equinox EV, Blazer EV, and Silverado EV models. Monthly payment is $2,860 for every $1,000 you finance. Example down payment 22.2%. Must finance with GM Financial. Some customers may not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 12/2/24.
Climate justice, climate equity, climate resilience. By any other name, we demand environmental justice in 2024 and beyond. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we don't black down. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a Black and Brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at WalkGoodLA. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
As we go a little something like this.
Hey, it is me, D.L. Hughley, and I am thrilled to be heard weekdays in my hometown on KBLA Talk 1580. So check out the D.L. Hughley Afternoon Show weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m. exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580. We got a whole lot to talk about, let me tell you. That's for the real.
You know you want some more. It's the Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580.
Cet amour est si fort, je ne te laisserai pas partir.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Voice of Reason is live on KBLA Talk 1580. The show has been absolute fire. The phone lines are lit. And I got to get to them right now because we're up against the clock. Callers, I want to get your thoughts, but we got to move quickly. We got to move swiftly. Man, this show was on fire. Hustle, what are your final thoughts on tonight's topic?
I'll just say this real quick as I exit. If you want to avoid the prices of the dealership, or as I call it, the stealership, learn to work on the car yourself.
Wow. Become your own mechanic. Self-maintenance. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Hustle, Miami, Florida. You already know what you did. Dade County. Y'all know what it is. The Voice of Reason is always on fire. Let's get these callers in here. Nazarene X, Atlanta, Georgia. What are your thoughts on tonight's topic?
Wagwan, funk real quick, man, and just vibing off that schizo side
Mm-hmm.
and merging the lanes of living by way of other people's definitions.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we have our various wiring. Yes, there are definitely real world consequences for the way that we demonstrate or express such.
Mm-hmm.
I've come to find that schizophrenia still, quote unquote, requires that your reality be defined by someone else.
Hmm.
And that's the problem.
Hmm.
So once you open up to your voice again,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that you are the definition of your truth,
Mm-hmm.
that'll help you open up a gateway for breathing or letting out what's been bottled up on all levels. And I believe that in you doing so, you open up the channel for another to meet you there and not chastise you, not cast you aside, not make you feel less than.
Mm-hmm.
We'll groove together. And through that, self-acceptance remains the ultimate triumph.
Man.
So I pray everybody gets some type of rhythm in that sense.
Man, I appreciate the insight. Thank you for calling in, and your contribution is valuable as always. My nephew, Atlanta, Georgia, we appreciate it. Theo, Charleston, South Carolina. What's the deal? What are your thoughts on tonight's topic?
So you're going to have to do a part 2 to this show because this one is real heavy. I have a lot of questions, but I can't get to them right now because I know it's the end of the show. So,
well, just start with one. How about that?
Could this be the conscious level of what you're saying is more, I look at it from an aspect of maybe this is why a lot of men stay in relationships that they know themselves should even be out of, but they just stay. They linger longer than they should. And then, like, most people look at it as if, oh, that's a good person, that's a good man right there, not knowing that he's exhausted and he's tired, like drained, but don't know how to leave.
Mm-hmm.
But from what I understand, what you're saying is that's the consciousness level of what you're supposed to be saying.
No, what I'm saying is to define what you just said, what I'm saying is the average person does get drained. And the average person, once they get drained, they leave. And there's nothing wrong with that. What I'm saying is, as you evolve towards what Abraham Maslow spoke on, which is self-realization, self-actualization, Paramahansa Yogananda called it self-realization. Abraham Maslow called it self-actualization, the top of the pyramid of the hierarchy of needs. Once you self-actualize, you start to realize at lower levels of consciousness, you have less capacity. So when you're talking to people who says, I'm emotionally drained, that's an indicator of I lack the tools. I haven't cultivated this spiritual muscle, right? If you look at a lot of relationships, and I'm not saying that there aren't relationships out there that aren't psychologically abusive, that aren't emotionally abusive. I'm talking about relationships that ended because they couldn't figure it out, or they couldn't get past a particular human infraction, whatever it might be, right? Typically, those relationships end not because these two people didn't love each other, not because these two people didn't want to be with each other, it's because they couldn't get past something. And when you can't get past something, typically it's going to go back to an attachment wound. It's going to go back to the lack of emotional attunement. It's going to go back to the lack of what's in that damn toolbox. If you had the tools, you'd get through it. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I get that part. When you get a chance, can you check to see? I guess I'm blocked from the chat. I don't know why.
Well, I don't control the chat, but I will check, brother.
I know. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hey, man, let me just say this, man. Nothing but love. I appreciate your insight. I appreciate you calling in.
Always.
You all the way over there in that state that gave the man the victory. I'm just playing.
Don't blame that on us.
I'm blaming it all on you, Theo. Hey. Hey, listen. Again, I love these types of conversations. I love to start them. But what makes me feel better is when you finish them. I'm not here to be right. I'm here to provoke thought. I want us to think about our relationships in a different way, right? Relationships are about self-healing. But you can't get to self-healing until you get to self-revealing. And many of us don't want to be revealed. We want to remain concealed. We don't want to be seen, although we beg to be seen. Come on, Zosa, where my organs? We don't want to be seen, although we beg to be seen. Huh? Hey, you see, the problem is relationships are going to expose you whether you want to be exposed or not. And what is exposed is to be claimed. Because where did it come from? It came from your spiritual lost and found. You lost it on purpose. Your relationship found it for you. Now, you embrace what was refound, what has resurfaced. You embrace it with empathy, and it'll heal. I started the conversation. I'll see y'all next week. Ain't nothing but love. I appreciate everybody. Deuces.
Quiet conversation.